happy day. I am Kiran Varma from the Department of Economics and Public Policy. In today's class, we will take up a small topic from the course on introductory microeconomics, and the topic for today's discussion is measurement of price elasticity of demand. After this lecture, you will be able to explain and understand the concept of price elasticity of demand, the methods to measure price elasticity of demand, and also you will be able to illustrate these methods by using appropriate formulas and graphs. Before we move to measurement of price elasticity of demand, let us have a quick look at what actually is price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand is basically a degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded due to change in prices. Whenever there is a change in prices, the demand is responding to that change in price. But to the extent which demand is responding to the change in prices is the concept of elasticity of demand. For example, if there is a change in the price by 10% and if your demand is increasing by more than 10%, say 20%, we will say demand is more elastic. But if the change in price is 10%, but demand changes by less than 10%, say by 7% or 9%, then we say that demand is inelastic. Keeping this concept that whenever there is a change in price, demand will respond to that changes, let us look at how to measure the extent to which the demand is changing. We can basically look at three important methods to measure price elasticity of demand, and these methods are total outlay method, point method, and arc method. Total outlay method is a method which demonstrates that whenever there is a change in price, there will be change in quantity demanded, and that change in quantity demanded will impact the expenditure what as an individual you are doing on that particular commodity. Whereas point method takes you through a geometric route where you measure price elasticity of demand on a particular point on a given demand curve. And arc method is basically a measurement of price elasticity of demand between the 2 points on the given demand curve. Let us have a look at total outlay method. As said earlier, this particular method measures the change in total expenditure due to change in the price of the given commodity. In this particular method, we will say that if your total expenditure due to change in price either increases, decreases, or remains constant, we will comment on what is the impact on elasticity of demand. Let us look at an example to understand this particular method in detail. Let us look at the table to understand the concept of total outlay method in measurement of price elasticity of demand. In this particular table, we are taking the fall in price, and as per the law of demand, when price falls, demand has to increase, and how it is impacting the total outlay or total expenditure on the given commodity. In the case 1, when price is falling from 6 to 5 to 4, quantity demanded is increasing from 10 to 13 to 15, making the total expenditure increase from 60 to 65 to 75. It means with the fall in price, total expenditure on the given commodity is increasing. We can say that demand is elastic. In the second case, if we look at prices falling from 6, 5, 4, and quantity demanded is increasing from 10 to 12 to 15, total expenditure in this particular case is remaining the same. It means I am spending only 60 rupees even if the fall in price is leading to increase in quantity demanded. Elasticity in this case will be set to equal to 1. And the last case, when we look at when with the fall in price, quantity demanded is increasing from 10 to 11 to say 12 or 13, depending upon your total expenditure is being from 60 to 55 and to 52. It means with a fall in price, total expenditure on the given commodity is also falling in spite of an increase in demand. So we will conclude that elasticity of demand is said to be less than 1, or demand is inelastic in this particular case of commodity. Let us look at the second method, point method, to measure price elasticity of demand. In this particular method, we measure price elasticity of demand on a point on the given demand curve. Let us assume in this case that AB is our demand curve, and we have different points plotted on this demand curve to understand that how demand is elastic on each given point. We will make use of the formula to calculate elasticity of demand, that elasticity at a particular point can be calculated by getting the ratio of the lower segment of the demand curve and the upper segment of the demand curve. For example, if we need to measure elasticity at point P, the lower segment of the demand curve, which is PB, and we'll divide it by the upper segment of the demand curve, which is PA. P being the middle point on the demand curve, your numerator and denominator, that is lower segment of the demand curve and upper segment of the demand curve, are equal, so elasticity will be equal to 1 at point P. If we move downward and we need to look at the elasticity at the point between P and B, that is the lower end of the demand curve, say point Q, elasticity at Q will be QB, that is lower segment of the demand curve, divided by QA, that is upper segment of the demand curve. So now in this case, you see lower segment of the demand curve is lesser than the upper segment of the demand curve, making the whole answer less than 1. So elasticity at point Q will be less than 1. Similarly, you can calculate elasticity at each given point. Mind here, the uppermost part of the demand curve, that is A, the lower segment is AB, and the upper segment is 0. So elasticity at point A will be infinity, and if you calculate elasticity at point B, the lower segment is 0, but the upper segment is the full demand curve, that is AB. So elasticity here will be 0. Now please note here, on the same demand curve, when you move upward, elasticity of the same product is decreasing. When you move upward, elasticity of the same product is increasing. That was the case when your demand curve was linear. Now what to do if you come across a demand curve which is not linear but non-linear in nature? To understand or to calculate by point method, you need to draw a tangent at a point where you need to measure the elasticity and extend the tangent to both the axes, y-axis as well as x-axis. And you apply the same formula, upper segment and the lower segment, to calculate the elasticity at the given point. In this particular example, you see elasticity at point B is said to be inelastic because lower segment of the tangent, that is PB, is less than the upper segment of the tangent PA. Let us look at the last method, arc method, where you try to measure elasticity by the differences between the 2 points on the given demand curve. So you apply here a formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand, and the formula goes like this: Q2 minus Q1 divided by Q2 plus Q1, the whole equation divided by P2 minus P1 and P2 plus P1. Now look at this, that P1 and Q1 are the original prices and original quantity demanded, and P2 and Q2 are changed prices and changed quantity demanded in this particular case. So when you apply this formula, you will be able to get the price elasticity of demand. So let us summarize today's class, that we learned 3 methods of measuring price elasticity of demand. In this, total outlay method says that you establish the relationship between price, change in quantity demanded, and its impact on total outlay to comment on price elasticity of demand. In point method, we learned that by dividing the lower segment of the curve by the upper segment of the curve, we can understand either the demand is elastic or inelastic, and by arc method, we used an algebraic formula to comment upon the price elasticity of demand. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe for such interesting contents to M.O.P Classroom.